All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Effing with the Ineffable. I'm Zoe,
And I'm Smokey Pegleton.
aka Will. And today we're kind of making like a bonus episode. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to go, but we're going to talk about some. I'm
Everybody's talking about it.
I know. I'm hesitant to do this because it's like a breaking news story. It's still developing. And I kind of hate when I listen to like news stuff and it's like breaking news, here's all the facts that we know so far, but it's like they hardly know anything and it's all going to be different in a week. But I think that this is like a really interesting thing, and I think I don't know, I think it's an interesting topic to talk about, even if
You know what it's like? I put a bumper sticker on my car not too long ago, and you put it on, and if you don't put it on just right, you get all these little air bubbles underneath it,
yeah, those are annoying.
and you push down on the one air bubble, and then it pops up over here.
Yeah.
That's basically what's going on. This is another air bubble that's just popped up, but it's a symptomatic of a much deeper problem.
Yeah, I feel like every episode we talk about
Is symptomatic of a much deeper problem, a flaw in how government is at least executed, if not constituted.
Yeah, I mean, like, so because our show is about libertarianism and Catholicism, ultimately a lot of what we're talking about is like fallen human nature. And fallen human nature is a huge problem in government. It's a problem in our faith life. It's the problem that we have to contend with. I mean, really. So it's
this. So what's our topic? We've
okay.
Left him hanging.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to talk about the whole Reddit, Wall Street, showdown, the GameStop issue. So before we get into it, have you done any research on this at all?
I've seen enough about it and heard enough about it that I feel like I have a sense of what happened.
Okay.
I have let me explain how my naive understanding, and
Sure.
You can tell me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
A bunch of hedge fund people, smart people, evaluated companies. One of the companies they evaluated was GameStop. They decided GameStop was actually overpriced, that it's probably the evaluation of it is probably tending towards zero. And so what they said is the way to make money on a GameStop thing is to sell it now and then buy it cheaper later and resell it if that's the way you want to go, the short sale. So what they did was they sold a bunch of GameStop stock, and they were saying that they were going to buy it up cheaper later. So they kind of gave away their plan. Somebody found out about that. I don't know who. I think it's genius, really.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, we've got this sentimental attachment to GameStop. We hate to see them go out of business, even though it's a obsolete business model. Let's prop them up and mess with these hedge fund people who are trying to say that they're worthless. And so what they did was they started buying up stock, which obviously drove up the price. And that completely blew away these hedge fund folks, because now all of a sudden they're on the hook they sold a bunch of shares in anticipation that it was going to go down, and they were going to be able to make money by buying the shares cheaper later and reselling them. But now the shares have gone from $5 to like $300.
Yeah.
So that's the main manipulation there, was just like to mess with these hedge fund people. And I think it's kind of funny. I mean, these people are out to make money, and now you're messing with their money. I mean, it's a completely legal way to like prank them and to beat them at their own game.
Yeah.
It points out a few problems in the hedge funds business model in itself. I think But the basic idea is that now GameStop has somehow the price of GameStop stock has gone up to the point where GameStop is evaluated as more valuable than Tesla.
Yeah.
It's now worth billions of dollars instead of being a company that was on its way toward bankruptcy.
Yeah. So let's back up a bit. I think that's a decent.
Is that a good basic?
Yeah.
Somebody tried to sell shares, and somebody else bought them up in order to boost the price.
Yeah. Let's just explain it a little bit more, because I know you and I know what like shorting stocks are, but just in case somebody is watching this and they haven't had it explained, there's a million explanations of it out there. But let's just do like a quick.
They're probably better than we can do.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I find this whole thing fascinating. I've been watching tons of content about it and reading tons of stuff about it, because I think the whole thing is very interesting, and it really does show like the entire problem with like our government today. And I think so we'll get there. So first of all,
so far the government isn't involved in any of this.
Well, just hold on. That's not true. That's the part that we're getting to.
Right.
Okay, so that's
because now these hedge fund people are standing to lose a ton of money, and they're boo-hooing, and they're saying, "Oh no, please don't let this happen to us."
Okay, so let's go back. Hold on.
Okay. So,
GameStop had a change in leadership at I believe, like maybe in the past, recently they had a change in leadership, and they
all three stores had turnover in the managers.
GameStop. I had a chart up today. I believe that they lost in the past. Let me just look at really quick, because I don't want to say something that is incorrect. And by the way, we're obviously not like experts on any of this stuff. Nobody is really.
We have never let that stop us from forming an opinion, however.
Yeah, we're still gonna.
And by standing by it with great vehemence.
Yes. So GameStop, they have had more than $1 billion of losses in the last 2 fiscal years. Okay, so GameStop is not doing well, to put it mildly.
Yeah, $1 billion doesn't sound like much, but it starts to add up after a while.
So GameStop is not doing well, but they had a change in leadership. So these hedge funds, what is let's explain what a hedge fund is ultimately. A hedge fund, this is actually the thing that I'm kind of conflicted on, and I feel like people aren't talking about much in this whole news craze about GameStop and whatever. Hedge funds, basically what they do is they make their money by borrowing a stock from somebody who owns a stock. They sell those stocks and say, hey, if I borrow this stock, I'll give you back the stock in a month or 2 months or whatever the term is, and I'll give you like a fee on top of that.
Yeah, give you some interest.
Yeah, so these people are like, okay, fine, whatever. So hedge funds kind of, they make their money. A lot of, like, everybody seems to hate hedge funds because the way they make their money is they bet that businesses are going to fail. Or at least
they're basically scavengers. They're buzzards hovering around dying corporations and saying, oh, I'm going to pick some of the meat off the bones while it's still good. Once it gets really rotten, nobody will want it, and I'll be able to buy it up cheaper.
So they're betting that if they have this stock right now and it's selling for $10 a share, if they sell it, they get $10 for every share that they sell. Then in a month, when they have to give it back, they're betting that the price is going to go down to $5, let's say. So for every share that they have to buy back, they are paying $5 less. So every time they're making a $5 profit minus whatever they have to pay for the fee, basically. So that's kind of what short selling is in a nutshell.
And the problem is, they don't have the money up front to own all those shares initially.
Yeah.
So they're basically borrowing money based on the idea that they're borrowing shares based on the idea that those shares are going to be cheaper later and they're going to be able to buy them at a cheaper price, sell them at a higher price, and make a profit in the transaction. So they're basically just traders.
Yeah. But
they are not adding value really to anything.
They're not creating goods and services. Which is how you usually get money. And if you remember when we
But they are providing information to the stock market.
Yeah.
Saying we don't think GameStop is going to last much longer. We think it's time to abandon ship on GameStop. You know, set Viking funeral for GameStop. See you later.
Yeah. And so first of all, what they're doing is completely legal. Is it is it the best?
So is what the other folks are doing.
Which we'll get to. But is it the best way to make money? Probably not. It's also extremely risky for them. I mean, they are taking a risk because what they're doing is they're saying, I'm betting that this is going to go down. And so I'm going to sell a bunch of stock now, assuming
it's only a risk if nobody bails them out.
Exactly. Well, yes, you're jumping ahead of the game here. Okay.
Oh.
So, of course, yes, they're taking the risk saying, yeah, we bet it's going to go down, but it has the potential to infinitely go up, right? Like if you have it at $10 and sell it at that much, betting that it's going to go down to $5, but it goes up to $500, then you're out $490 for every share that you sell.
Right.
That's obviously a huge risk. So like
a huge loss.
Yeah. So obviously,
which is what they're facing now.
Yes. So
and they don't like that. For some reason they don't like to lose that kind of money.
So what happened?
They're starting to lose GameStop money now. We're talking
$1 billion deficit. So what happened was there's this Reddit group called Wall Street Bets, which is kind of just these people who get together and I'm assuming all these people are amateurs. They're getting together and they're trying to look at the trends and what these hedge funds are doing and what's happening on Wall Street and trying to exploit it and trying to find loopholes and saying like, hey, how can we make money doing betting against Wall Street essentially.
Right.
So Wall Street Bets Reddit page saw that there was a massive short on GameStop and decided to collectively, they said, let's just all buy it up. And we know that when these terms end, when the hedge funds have to buy it back, they're going to have to buy it at this insanely high price because we're going to all buy it together and we're going to drive the price up. They're going to be forced to buy it back because they promised in a month, I'm going to give you your stocks back plus the fee. So they're like, okay, let's all get together. And what happened was they all got together. They bought a bunch of it. The prices skyrocketed. So now all these people on this Reddit thread who bought it are like insanely wealthy in potential. The thing about stocks is that you only are going to make money from it if you sell it at a high price, right? If you buy low and sell high. That's the only way you're going to make money. Just because you hold $10 million
or sell high and buy low, which is what short selling is.
Yeah. So if you have $10 million worth of stock, but you don't sell it, you don't actually have $10 million, right? You have
a number of shares of stock, which may or may not rise or fall with the market.
Yeah, which is actually worth nothing in reality. I mean, think about it. Like,
it's worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it.
But I'm saying, like, if you have a stock certificate worth $10 million, what do you actually have? You have a piece of paper, right? Like, that's all you.
That somebody is putatively willing to give you $10 million
right now. Yes, as long as that price doesn't change. I'm saying, let's say the price went to zero tomorrow. it wouldn't be worth
That
anything.
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so
The bubble has got to burst. It's unsustainable. Let me see if I'm making a chart here. It's unsustainable for GameStop, whose value is actually going to zero, for their valuation to go to infinity, and
yeah,
for that to continue to exist
yes,
in the same world. Too big of a gap is occurring. It's a classic bubble. It's gonna burst, and whoever is buying GameStop at a price higher than what it's valued
yeah.
better sell it now, because it's gonna go down in value.
So that's
It's
the
like
crazy part.
if it's like if I said, you know, I'm gonna sell my car, but you know, I'm I'm gonna buy your car, I'm gonna sell it, and then in a month I'm gonna buy it back and give it
Yeah,
back to you. Well, I can buy your car, and then you can say, let's make a huge market for my car so that my car is worth like a ton,
yeah,
you know. And it's like I'm obligated to buy your car back,
yeah.
but now it's worth, you know, instead of the $200 I paid you for it, now it's worth $5,000. It's like, damn, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
It happened because somebody noticed that you were screwing around and you made promises that you can't keep.
Yeah.
So there
Well,
you go.
that was the issue, was that these hedge funds actually shorted it so much. Apparently they shorted it like more than there was stock available. Like they had so little faith in GameStop that they shorted it beyond what was actually possible. Anyway, so here's where it gets interesting. So the hedge fund
It's
actually,
interesting already, but here's where
yeah,
it twists again.
here's where it gets relevant to like what we are talking
All
about,
right,
what
good.
we usually talk about.
Yeah.
The hedge funds go bankrupt because they have so much deficit on these stocks that they actually have to go bankrupt in just to buy the stocks back, to give back the stocks that they borrowed. So a bunch of people, you know, kind of people are noticing this. Not the Reddit people who were kind of like in on the ground floor. Those are the people who are really profiting here. But like just other random people. Even my sister texted and was like, "Hey,
are noticing, hey, GameStop is going through the roof. What's going on?"
And they're like, "Should we invest in this?" And it's like, well, probably not. If you don't have a ton of money to potentially lose, you probably shouldn't do it. So anyway, a bunch of people decide, hey, I want to try to buy some GameStop stock as well, get in on this. And a bunch of brokerages say, you are not allowed to buy GameStop anymore. We're not going to let you.
We're not trading in it.
You're allowed to sell it, but you're not allowed to buy it. And so they're like, okay, why? Like this doesn't make any sense. This is market manipulation. So there's an app called Robinhood, which is like an app where just it's supposedly for like the everyman to try to be able to buy and sell stocks, so that like even people who don't really know what they're doing so much, or people who don't want to create a brokerage account, all this stuff, are able to buy and sell stocks. So the Robinhood app gets a huge boom where all these people are downloading Robinhood and saying, okay, I want to buy GameStop. There's also a couple other stocks that people have been doing with this with. One of them is AMC. One of them
your old employer, right?
Well, I used to work for a movie theater. It was not AMC. I worked for a
yeah, I know, it doesn't matter.
An independent theater, but yes, a movie theater. And another one is BlackBerry and Nokia, I believe. All of those.
I thought Blockbuster too. Somebody.
I think is it Blockbuster or is it BlackBerry?
Well, I think BlackBerry.
Oh, all of those?
I heard something about Blockbuster. It's like all these brands that are basically just waiting to expire.
I didn't even realize Blockbuster was still a company. But
I wouldn't have thought so. I'm surprised GameStop
Yeah,
still is, but
honestly.
hey, okay,
With a
whatever.
$1 billion deficit the last 2 years. Anyway, so the interesting thing is all these people download Robinhood to try to buy this, these different stocks. Then Robinhood says we're no longer going to let you purchase GameStop. We're going to stop. You're not allowed to purchase any of the stocks. You're only allowed to sell. And so people
So
start.
Robinhood gets on the
Yes.
bandwagon where they're saying,
Yes.
you can't buy it from us anymore either.
Yes. Robinhood, what the irony of all this is like Robinhood. Who was Robinhood? Robinhood was the guy who stole from the rich and gave to the poor, right? Like,
yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm not advocating. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I don't think it's a good idea to steal from the rich and give to the poor. That's like what taxes and welfare is. But what does Robinhood do? They do the same thing as all these other brokerages, which is they're saying, okay, I get a lot of money from hedge funds because hedge funds are my main customer. They're the ones who are constantly placing these purchases, and we get like a small percentage.
Through Robinhood.
This is Robinhood and all these other brokerages that weren't letting you purchase GameStop stock. Weren't letting the average people do it.
So all of these brokerages basically, they have a monopoly on the ability to access the market.
Yes, that's the problem, because you can't just like, how do I as a just a person buy stocks? I'm somebody who has a brokerage account, but the only way I can buy stocks is through that brokerage account. I can't call Wall Street and buy it. I can't go to the Wall Street store and buy a stock. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have a brokerage account. So all these brokerage accounts, including Robinhood, shut down the ability to purchase stocks because they wanted to protect the hedge funds from going completely bankrupt, because they knew that if that happened, they were going to lose a huge customer.
So that was their stated rationale.
They never said that specifically.
Okay.
But what other reason would it be?
To protect people from buying a $350 stock that is actually only worth $3.
Okay, but who cares if somebody wants to buy something?
Exactly. If I want to trade my cow for the goose that lays the golden eggs, here you go. We've got golden egg laying geese up the butt. Bring a whole herd of cows in. We'll take them all.
Protecting people from themselves is obviously the stated rationale. That's what they're saying. Where they're saying, we think that social media is manipulating people into doing this thing that's against their own interests. This is exactly what the government does all the time. They say, we are going to protect you from yourself. We're going to protect you from the consequences of your own actions, because we know better than you, right?
Right.
Whether they're actually doing it.
That's why my parents didn't let me hang out with those naughty kids in high school, because they thought that they would teach me how to drink and smoke. Consequently, I don't know how to drink and smoke well.
So
they protected me from myself.
Yeah.
It's an impossible job.
So this
and so now what they're doing is they're protecting the hedge fund from themselves.
Yes, exactly.
So instead of letting these other customers have a chance at cashing in on this GameStop gravy train, they're saying we are going to protect our hedge fund folks and cap their loss so that they don't go broke, because they're one of our best customers.
Because we've a vested interest in helping them.
But aren't there other brokers who can say, you know what, I don't have any hedge fund customers. I'm just an average Joe who deals with average Joes. I'll sell you all the shares that you can carry home.
That's the exact problem. So that's what Robinhood was, right? When all the other brokers were saying,
apparently not.
I know, but okay, there was, I don't even remember.
That's what Robinhood putatively was.
This was,
But then it turns out that they've got vested interests in keeping the hedge funds afloat as well.
yeah.
And so they are not going to execute transactions that are going to harm those hedge funds, even if a customer requests it. And
Yeah.
it's a legitimate request.
Mhm.
If I say, I'd like to buy GameStop at $5,000 a share,
Yeah, exactly.
it's like, I can find somebody who will sell you shares for that. I'm
Exactly.
sure. I know I can make that deal for you.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do it because I'm afraid that my other customers are going to be upset with me.
Yeah. So
That's, I guess that's that's also a choice in a free market. That's a choice that those brokers can make too. But then there's bound to be, unless there's government regulation on who can be a broker, which I'm sure there is.
yeah.
Then other people can get into this brokerage thing and say, hey, if there's money to be made in brokerage, I'm going to do it, and I'll be Robin the Hood. I'll be
Yeah.
ROBBIN the Hood.
Yeah.
And that's my new app, and I'm only going to sell to people who are small and can't afford these other things. I'm going to charge a little more for my brokerage fees.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you buy whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a dude on the street corner. Hey, buddy, you want some GameStop shares? I got some GameStop shares. I got some AMC shares too.
Yeah.
They're hot. They're hot.
This is just so complicated. There's a lot of like issues with this.
How is it complicated?
Well, okay, first of all, this is where like the whole issue comes in. First of all, not only would Robinhood not let people place trades, even though, like I said, after all the brokerages shut down, they were like, we're going to be the brokerage of the people. Clearly that didn't last. It lasted like 2 days, if that. And then they were saying, we're not letting you do anything either. But the Reddit board, the Wall Street Bets Reddit board, also got completely deleted. Now, they claimed that it was because there was like hate speech on there, which is always the claim, right? When you want to shut something down.
Right.
But really it was because
those white supremacists again
yeah. So basically
are trying to screw over these predominantly white elite hedge funders.
Exactly.
Oh man.
So what's happening now is that
that can't stand.
This is the craziest thing to me. So there are now senators calling for an investigation into all of this, saying why is this happening? Some senators are saying there needs to be regulation of the market. We can't just have a bunch of people trolling these hedge funds into bankruptcy, which is absurd, because why not? They're not doing anything illegal.
The hedge funds were basically cannibalizing GameStop.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing the exact same thing and they don't like it.
Okay. Shouldn't there be a law against that? If there's a law against the market operating in a way that it's supposed to operate, then pretty soon the market doesn't operate in the way it's supposed to operate, and then we have this whole thing, which is when you push down on the bubble, the bubble translates over and moves up someplace else. So all this stuff can be traced back to government manipulation of markets, and all this stuff was stuff that was going on back in before the Great Depression.
Yeah.
People were having all these getting into this futures market, borrowing on stuff. All this stuff was going on back in the 2008 prime mortgage bubble stuff.
Yeah.
People were making loans that were not uh, not realistic, not really appropriate to the value of the properties that they were being loaned on, and the people that they were making the loans to weren't good risks,
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. It bit them in the butt. They
Yeah.
wanted to cash in. They were cashing in. They were making huge money.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, uh, their business goes sour because they overdid it.
Yeah.
You know,
And
they
this is the problem, is
they
that
milked
got
they
it.
milked the cow to the point where the cow died.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
now there's no milk. Oh no, what are we going to do? How are we going to feed our family? We need the government to give us a new cow and to keep it alive and give us hay to feed it. And, oh, this isn't fair. Oh, well, I might have to sell my Lamborghini.
So
Oh no.
this is the problem, is that in 2008, these Wall Street banks got a bailout saying you are now too big to fail. You're immune from the consequences of your own actions, which what should have happened is the government should have said, too bad, so sad, you're now out of business.
The government, the market is the boss. The market has spoken. God rest your soul.
You're voted off the island. The tribe has spoken. You're voted off the island. That's really what should have happened, but it didn't, and that's market manipulation. And now it's funny.
You are the weakest link.
It's funny that two people who literally hate each other are now teaming up about this whole Reddit Wall Street thing. AOC and Ted Cruz, who AOC has literally called for Ted Cruz's called for his called for him to be impeached, and
if I wrote a movie script like that, they would say, what are you talking about? Here it is.
Now they are both calling for an investigation into this whole Robinhood thing and into all this market manipulation, because they're saying,
why would Ted Cruz get involved in that?
They're saying, why is Robinhood not letting people place?
Oh, okay.
Yes. They're getting together and saying, why is Robinhood shutting down both of them are saying, why is Robinhood shutting down the ability of people to place bets? It's funny because Ted Cruz is doing it because
it's not bets, it's trades.
Yes, trades. Sorry. But Ted Cruz, the reason Ted Cruz is doing it,
trades on speculation.
The reason Ted Cruz is doing it is because he's a proponent of the free market and is saying, why are people interfering with the free market? The reason AOC is doing it is because she is somebody who is really interested in basically class warfare and saying, why are the billionaires being benefited and the common person? So it's really this is why this news story is so interesting, and why I'm bringing it to the show, even though it hasn't all been figured out, because this is something that is literally uniting the right, the left, libertarians. Everybody is united over this issue, because
not everybody.
Well, everybody except the hedge fund people, right? I mean, there's not a lot of people who are pushing back.
But the left, I'm sure the left and the right are going to look at this problem, and one is going to say the problem is not enough government interference. The other one is going to say too much government interference.
Yes, they're both. Well, I mean, they're both.
If they agree that it's a problem, they're not going to agree on the solution.
So there are some Democrat senators and whatever who are instead of calling for an investigation on this, they're actually just calling for more regulation and saying that the Wall Street bets Redditors shouldn't have been able to do this in the first place, which is obviously absurd and stupid. They're once again, the argument is We need to protect people from themselves. This small group of Redditors is trolling everybody and getting people to pay a lot of money for something that's not worth a lot of money. So we need to protect people from themselves.
Fooling people, saying, hey, I've got these magic beans. You know, they're awesome. They're worth a lot. That's called advertisement.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's if it's not true, it's not true. I mean, but did they make any false claims? Did they defraud anybody?
No.
I don't know that you can make a case for that.
Yeah.
They used the system in a way that the hedge funds would have used the system if they had been clever enough. If there was a hedge fund that could have driven a rival hedge fund out of business by doing that,
they would.
You don't think they A, would have, B, already have done that?
I mean, have you seen the movie The Big Short?
No.
Oh, you should.
That's the basic idea, right?
Yeah,
that's like Michael from The Office, and
they were betting against all of these banks who were doing all these subprime mortgages, because they're saying this can't last. These subprime mortgages are bad, and it's going to burst, and people are going to get hurt. And these hedge funds who bet against those home loans, essentially, they were the people who made tons of money, and now they're sitting pretty because they bet against those people. It's the same thing.
If you know how to run the market, there's always ways to make money in any market, an up market, a down market, a dying business, a thriving business. There's ways to make money. The question is making money that way, is that a virtuous way to make money? Is that a valid way to make money? Is that something where, is that something that people should say, hey, what does your family do to support themselves? How do we day trade, we speculate. It's like, oh, you're gamblers, kinda.
So this is something that I find interesting. People like Elon.
Not that there's a law. There's no law against it.
Yeah.
Nor probably should there be.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it seems distasteful to me. It's like usury. It's like, I'm sure I could find people who are in dire need of money.
Yeah.
And I could do one of these payday loan things where I give them the money that they're going to get on payday, but I give them 20% less. They give me their whole check come payday, and I've made 20%.
Yeah, which is gross.
In 2 weeks,
yeah,
or a month or whatever.
Yeah.
20% interest in a month is like
absurd.
$200 a year.
Yeah.
It's a great business. It's also taking advantage of people's ignorance or desperation. But I mean, as a mental health provider, I'm always making money. Other people's tears are my bread and butter.
I actually would love
human misery is my stock in trade. That's my currency.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I actually think, do you know much about like MLMs, like multi-level marketing companies?
Oh, like the one with the pink Cadillacs.
Oh.
Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Yeah. Like Mary Kay, and like, I mean, there's a million of them.
And that like an Amway kind of thing.
Yes, like Amway or doTERRA. There's literally a million of these. I actually would love to make an episode on just ranting about those, because I have very strong feelings. I feel like those companies are actually straight up evil, because they just prey on like people who are desperate. Like, all of their marketing tactics are just like, you can make a ton of money just by selling stuff from your home. Anyway, let's talk about that another day, because I have so many feelings on that. I feel like it's just evil. But
well, that's what we're So we're talking, you started off this episode saying it all comes back to we are fallen people. Yes, we are greedy. We
Yeah.
tend, despite having a savior who has told us, you know, don't worry about stuff. You know, the birds of the air and the flowers of the field, don't worry about stuff. Stuff is going to be taken care of. We worry about stuff. We
Yeah.
love stuff. We love stuff so much we're willing to use other people
Yeah.
to get more stuff. We love stuff and use people
Yeah.
instead of using stuff and loving people.
Yeah.
And that is a sin.
Yeah.
That is a sin. That is, uh, I mean, we talked one of the episodes about, we already have the final exam questions. When Jesus comes again and he says, okay, time to tally up our final grades.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Here, you sheep on my right, you guys saw me when I was in need. You fed me when I was hungry. You clothed me when I was naked. You visited me when I was in prison and when I was in the hospital. You took care of me when I was sick. You buried me when I was dead. Come, you blessed, and share in the glory that is your due, because you loved.
Yeah.
You loved. And over on the other side, the goats are like, you didn't do it. You didn't make it. You guys were greedy and selfish. You put all your effort into making your hedge fund work or your Reddit thing work,
Yeah.
which is just as bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Robinhood is still a thief.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like,
Is that is that re- is
not
that really how you show love to people? By stealing from other people and giving them stuff? Is that how I show love to my family? From going out and stealing from people and giving stuff to my family? Well, sometimes, but not usually.
yeah.
That's not the way it's supposed to be. So, the question comes down to, is greed good? From the movie Wall Street, is greed good? Um, no, but it exists and it's apparently legal. So if you want to exploit greed, you can legally. If you want to exploit other people's ignorance, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can fool people, or kind of not completely defraud people, but you can take advantage of other people's ignorance and desperation and use that. You can, but should you? From a Catholic point of view, no.
Yeah.
From a libertarian point of view, yeah, go ahead.
I
A
guess.
fool and his money are soon parted. If you're the one parting them, good for you.
Yeah.
And a libertarian would say all this stuff is just information. These Redditors had this information about how these hedge funds were going about making their money and how they were planning to go about basically stripping the corpse of GameStop.
Yeah.
Uh, and they decided, hey, we can make some money and we can stick it to the man at the same time.
Yeah.
Cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's punk rock.
So, yeah, I feel like that's probably, I'd like more thoughts on this, but I don't know if any of them are necessarily.
So the libertarian point of view would be to say, okay, listen, if there's a problem, it's probably from a result of interference that's already been put into the market. Licensing brokers. Why do brokers have to have a license?
Yeah.
Why can't we have unlicensed brokers that are willing to sell to whoever?
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
I know.
and if you want to trust an unlicensed broker, caveat emptor.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you take your chances.
Yeah.
So but
Yeah.
it's all the brokers, the hedge funds, all that stuff. Those things, the market is going to have to take care of it. And really, in a way, this is the market saying, "Oh, you guys think you're so clever. You hedge fund
Yeah.
folks think you're so clever. There's a way that other people are going to be able to use that same system against you. So if you live by the sword and you want to cut all the meat off of the GameStop corpse, you know, that same sword is going to be used to cut into you too.
Yeah.
So,
The
you
the
know,
biggest, I mean, from a
you,
libertarian perspective, the biggest issue with all this stuff is that not only the hedge funds, like the hedge funds are now calling, we didn't even really touch on this point, but you know, besides the whole manipulation of the brokerages and Robinhood, what they did was gross. But really what they did, it's like you said before, what those brokerages and Robinhood did was legal. I mean, they're allowed to say, we're not going to let you sell. We're only going to let the hedge funds purchase.
if I went to Sam's Club and I didn't have a card, they would say, I'm sorry, we or Costco. You
Yeah.
know, I think Costco is like a members only thing
Yeah, it
too,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Robinhood is apparently a members only, and they can decide who their members are.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you go to Walmart and Walmart says, we're not going to sell to you, like, is that legal? Just for no reason, just for whatever reason they want.
Yeah.
Is that legal?
Sure.
Yeah. Is it immoral? It's dumb. First of all, just financially, it's dumb. But also,
Right. I'm
it's
not going to sell you my car.
yeah. Like, okay. I mean, because
I don't like you.
because the reason that's dumb. This is the same thing with, like, you know, in the whole civil rights issues in the 50s, when people would say, we're not going to sell to black people. It's like that's just a stupid mindset, because there's going to be another business who will sell to you, you know? Like, that's why I actually think that there should be no government regulation of forcing people to serve anyone based on any reason. You should be, as a business, you should be able to discriminate against
There should be no government action in the market
at all.
whatsoever.
Of course. But
the market needs
yeah.
to, the market, there's a division of church and state. There needs to be a division of market and state, as well.
Exactly.
If you don't have a division of market and state, what you tend toward is socialism, where the state becomes the market.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where this problem is coming from in the first place.
So aside from the whole, like, brokerages and Robinhood market manipulation, which is legal, the problem of all this is that the hedge funds, and even, like, I believe it was the head of NASDAQ, is now calling for market regulation of like these, of buying and selling stuff, and these kind of fringe cases of,
we don't want to let Rudolph join in any reindeer games.
Just because they don't like the consequence of the free market, so they're saying
they don't like competition.
Yes. So that is
too
really
bad.
Yes, that's really
welcome to Earth. Enjoy your stay. There will be competition.
Yeah.
There may be cooperation. There will be competition.
Now, I think what a really interesting thing, this is kind of a non sequitur, but I do think it's interesting, is that the reason that I personally wouldn't buy GameStop stock, even if I think that it's going to keep going up and up, is because at the end of the day, you're left with GameStop stock, and GameStop is a failing company that lost $1 billion over the last 2 fiscal years. So really, like, it's interesting that these Wall Street bets Reddit people, what they need to do right now is they keep trending this thing on Twitter, hold the line, meaning don't
sell yet.
Don't
sell yet.
Because if this only is going to last as long as everybody holds on to their stock
Right.
and doesn't
As
sell.
soon as somebody says, holy crap, this is, I'm
Yeah, I bought this at $100 and now it's $400. I can make $300 for every share that I own. Like, that's
and it's really only worth $1, so I better get out while the getting's good.
exactly. So it's
Because
interesting.
this ship is sinking. I'm not sure how fast,
Yeah,
but I want to be the first one off, because
exactly.
those first lifeboats are probably the nicest,
Yeah,
the appointed, and the people are not so panicked.
yeah.
The last people off are the rats and the panickers, the insane people.
The last people off are the ones, it's like the Titanic where it was like women and children first, you get the boats, everyone else is just going down with the ship. Like,
We're just jumping off.
you want to be the person in the lifeboat for sure. That so it actually is a very interesting kind of social experiment where all these Reddit people are being like, we have to actually trust one another to not sell, like, because we only get this money. And really, like, at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see if they actually get money or not, you know, like if they, because eventually people are going to sell the stock, the share price is going to go down.
Somebody bought it cheap, and I'm sure there are already some people who are selling it pretty high.
Yeah.
There may be other people who are still buying it thinking,
Yeah.
oh, it's just going to continue to go up.
Well, and that's why
At some point the bubble bursts.
Yeah.
It's like the classic bubble of the tulips. You're familiar with that, right?
No.
Oh, okay. The first major market bubble that happened in history that I know of was in like Holland. There was these tulips, and there was specific tulips that people thought were like really, yeah, you got some sun coming on you.
We're both like in the sun right now. It's crazy.
It's nice. There were some specific tulips that these people really just got a bug up their butt about, and they thought, oh, I gotta have some. So there came this huge demand for these tulip bulbs. Tulips prices went through the roof. Tulips were worth more than gold. They were worth more than gold at one point.
When was this?
This was back in the, I don't know, 1600s.
Oh, okay, like way back. Okay.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's the classic bubble.
Okay.
With the demand it being super high, and all of a sudden they realized, wait, there's quite a supply of bulbs not that far away. We can get tulip bulbs, and we can create our own tulip bulbs pretty easily. And so the whole market fell off, and tulip bulbs just became tulip bulbs. They didn't become the precious, where everybody needed it. And people lost their shirts.
Yeah.
Same thing happened in the market in the 1919s. Same thing happened with Beanie Babies. Every crazy, Pokemon, baseball cards, whatever, you name it, people will speculate about, oh, it's going to be worth something someday. Oh, I've got these really cool scissors. These are some special scissors. They called Case. Ooh, aren't they nice? Look at those scissors. They are really sweet. Wouldn't you like a pair? Now, how much would you pay? It turns out I've got 5 cases of these things, and it's hard for me to get rid of them. But if I convince you that they're worth more, whatever you're willing to pay is what it's worth.
Yeah.
Whatever the market is willing to pay. So right now, GameStop stock is worth $300 something a share. That's the going price.
Mm-hmm.
However, it can't be too long before reason takes over and people say GameStop is losing money every year.
Yeah.
If I own GameStop, I'm owning something that's going to be losing value constantly.
another interesting thing would be if GameStop decides to add 1 million stock shares into the market. They can do that. They can say like we're gonna like let me read this thing that
recapitalize our stock.
So this said, hold on one second. So GameStop issuing a few million new shares could kill the momentum, but at the current $300 price, it would raise a few billion of fresh capital, helping the company to survive and thrive long after the story ends. So it's interesting that if they actually do that, I mean, GameStop.
The company's it's a dead business.
Yeah, but they could capitalize on this and say like, we can make a lot of money quickly by doing that. But I mean,
yeah, the American Telegraph company could have made a lot of money by issuing a lot of stock when they were going under too. People don't use telegraphs. People don't use GameStop. People don't use
Beanie Babies.
Horseshoes anymore. People don't use a lot of stuff anymore. It's become obsolete. People don't use a lot of regular camera film. We know a family member who was into that, and that was their business. That business completely changed when digital took over. Digital's taken over the game industry too. It has been for many years. I'm surprised they didn't notice that. Being in the game industry, and digital has also taken over the film industry. I'm surprised Blockbuster didn't notice that, and AMC didn't notice that people can sit in the privacy of their own home, pause shows, talk about it as much as they want and as loud as they want, scratch themselves, and do all kinds of exciting things that are frowned upon in the theater.
And eat whatever you want. You don't have to worry about trying to.
And you don't have to pay $5 a thing for popcorn. I mean, the popcorn's delightful, especially with all that butter on it. But hey,
butter.
Yeah, whatever that is. But
well, I know what it is because I used to work in a theater, and trust me, you don't want to eat it. I'll tell you that much. Anyway.
Simulated butter substance.
So let's wrap this up. I just think this whole story is very interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens, not only with what are these Redditors going to do? Are they going to just keep holding the line until all of these hedge funds are, because they can see when these hedge funds have to pay back the stocks, right? So they can see like we can hold out until these hedge funds are completely bankrupt, and then we can start selling it off, whatever. I mean, some people are gonna be out money eventually if they hold on long enough. That's gonna be interesting. The other interesting thing is gonna be with all these hedge funds and higher up people calling for regulation. Is regulation gonna happen? Is there going to be more freedom about who can be a broker and who's not? Because now people know, hey, these brokerages are really beholden to these hedge funds. We want to create an actually free brokerage of the people. Is that going to come about? That would be an interesting development.
Is that legal? Who licenses and regulates that? I'm sure the SEC or whatever has all kinds of regulations about who can buy and sell shares. Why can't some dude stand on the street corner and say, hey, I got some GameStop. Got your GameStop right here. $300.
It's interesting because I don't know if you remember this, but my husband actually had an internship at the SEC and worked for them. And I mean, there's tons of regulation that. It's funny because both of us now, after he has done that, are like, we need to abolish the SEC.
That would be a good start. Would be a good start. See, now from a libertarian point of view, this whole problem stems from unfree markets.
Yeah.
Unfree markets.
Yes.
So the government interference in the markets and cronyism in the markets, which is what we're talking about when you're talking about Robinhood won't sell to these other people because they're not their cronies.
Yeah.
That is unfair markets.
Yeah.
Unfair markets should be punished. They should get hammered. You know, I love that these Reddit people are doing this. Their animus, obviously, you know, I don't know that if it was to make money as much as it was to mess with these hedge funds. And the only animus to keep it going now would be to continue to mess with the hedge funds. If they've made their profits. I'd say they're probably at about the peak price. What the hell do I know though? You know, it's like the price of gold and the price of Bitcoins. It's, you know, kind of, it's whatever the market bears.
It's
So,
interesting that Elon Musk,
from a libertarian point of view, the whole idea is stay out of the way, let the market handle it. Let the market handle it, and let the markets be free. Get the government out of the market altogether. Separation of market and state, just like there's a separation of church and state. And from a Catholic point of view, I'd say, you know, greed is one of the deadly sins, and whoever lives for greed dies for greed. You know, and as P.T. Barnum says, there's a sucker born every minute. And as I think it was W.C. Fields said, or maybe it was Will Rogers, you can't cheat an honest man. Somebody who's only looking to recoup the value of what they expect from a deal will not be looking to make 500% profit on a transaction. They recognized, I haven't added any value to this. The only value I've added is I bought something from somebody who wanted to sell it, and now I'm going to sell it to somebody who wants to buy it. These manipulated markets, though, aren't legitimate markets. These are puppet shows, and they don't actually convey the information that the market is supposed to convey.
I don't know. This whole thing is just very interesting. It's interesting.
It's fun. I'm glad to see it going on. Do I have a head? No. The other thing that's dangerous is do pensions invest in these hedge funds? Are there pensions that are going to be now broke and they're going to be old people who are going to need to be eating dog food because their pensions were based on these hedge funds? And why would the pension administrators invest in such a, I mean, it's got potential for high risk, high reward, high risk, high loss too. That's what risk means, is that you can lose. And now if the government steps in and wants to bail them out, that's completely out of the question. You know, the bailouts of the auto companies, the bailouts of the airlines, the bailouts of all the mortgage companies and investment companies back in 2008, all those things, those were manipulated markets. And those people didn't learn their lesson. Those people should have learned their lesson. They should have seen it coming. The auto industry should have known the cars that we're making aren't selling as well as the cars that the foreign folks are making. Maybe we need to change up the ways that we're making cars, or the kind of cars we're making, or, you know, maybe we need to move our manufacturing overseas. Oh, all of a sudden everybody gets all upset about that. Why are we moving our manufacturing overseas? Because the unions are demanding too much money here. It cuts into our ability to make a profit making cars. You know, and so your labor is worth only as much somebody is willing to really pay you for it.
Yeah.
and as much as it actually adds value to a product.
Yeah.
Your product is only worth as much as somebody's willing to pay you for it. That's what the markets are about. That's what
Yeah.
the markets decide. GameStop is probably legitimately valued at close to zero. They're losing billions of dollars every year. It's a failing business.
Yeah.
It's gonna go under.
Yeah.
It's propped up now, by all this goofiness,
Yeah.
but it really has nothing to do with the value of GameStop. It has to do with this animus toward the hedge funds that's being channeled into some sort of, hostile action. Really, it's not a legitimate market decision on the part of these
Yeah.
Redditors. It's it's a it's an animus toward the hedge funds,
Yeah.
especially now. I mean, you've made your money. If you bought it at 5 and it's 400, cash the hell in and say,
Yeah.
lucky me, I won the lottery.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and the Catholics would say the lottery of hard work is much more important to win.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that the lottery of labor?
No, but
Oh, there's a poem called The Lottery of Labor that talks about how basically transactions, bets, things like that, speculations, things that actually don't uh, add value, really don't add value to your life. If you win the lottery, what has it really gained you?
yeah.
Have you really improved your soul? Have you really improved your spiritual standing whatsoever? You haven't provided any service. You haven't provided any goods. You haven't clothed the hungry, fed the naked, or any.
Yeah.
I'm strike that and reverse it, but you know what I mean. You haven't performed any works. You haven't worked.
Yeah.
All you've done is traded. Trading is not work.
Yeah. My favorite meme about this whole thing that I saw was it said Jesus crashing the markets for the first time, and it was him like overturning the tables in the marketplace.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the first Redditor.
The
Saying,
original.
oh no,
Yeah.
you money changers, you are not going to be making money here.
Yeah.
That's
So,
all hedge funds are, is money changers.
yeah. And I have a lot of there's a lot more I want to look into. Like when I was looking at Elon Musk's Twitter, he was saying like, it's illegal to sell a car that's not yours. It's illegal to sell a house that's not yours, but it's legal to sell stocks that aren't yours. And he was saying that it shouldn't be. Although, I don't know, but at the same time, it's like if somebody's voluntarily lending you their stock and saying that you can have it, like, why should that be illegal?
It's a contract.
Yeah. So I don't, but then because of that thread, I saw some people who were saying that short selling stocks is legal for hedge funds, but it's illegal for certain other people like day traders. I don't know if that's true. I didn't have enough time to look into all that. If that's true,
there ought to be no law against any of it.
Exactly.
You should be able to do whatever you want if you want to be a day trader, God bless you. Go for it.
Yeah.
I think you're spending your life chasing money and making money your God. And that is a dangerous thing. You can't serve God and mammon.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson that comes down from 2,000 years. That's not something that we just need to take from the GameStop episode. That's something that we need to take from the history of the human race.
Yeah. Lastly, I just think it's going to be interesting to see, like you said, who ultimately, if people are getting hurt from this, who is going to get hurt from it? Because that's where kind of
it's going to trickle down.
That's where the moral part of this comes in. I mean, like, a lot of these people are saying, we are doing this because all you Wall Street people got bailed out in 2008, and who had to pay for it? It's our taxes. You know, all these Redditors are younger people, so they're saying our parents' taxes had to pay for your bad decisions. I mean, they really are saying that. They're saying you screwed our people, and now we're screwing you back. We're just getting you back. But
just reparations.
Yes, but I do think it's going to be interesting to see if people, like you said, with pensions or just people who, you know, other people who are going to get hurt by this. That's what I think is going to be interesting. I think we need to be careful when we act out of vengeance. There's a lot of prohibitions against that in our faith.
He who lives by the sword dies by the sword.
And I mean, like, read the whole story of Cain and Abel. What you take away from that story is that if you start acting out of vengeance, then I kill you out of vengeance. Your family kills two of my family members. They come kill two each. I mean, like, that's a way to have a lot of
Hatfields, McCoys, hedge funds,
yeah.
Redditors.
Yeah. So I think that, like,
there's gonna be competition.
I think, like, from a libertarian perspective, we want to keep the government out of this, out of manipulating the market. But from a Catholic perspective, we want to make sure that we're acting out of legitimate motivations, and we want to keep in mind who we're hurting by our actions and all of this stuff. So I think I don't know. I think that there's a lot of interesting things that this is going to develop. This story, as it develops, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think
we've asked some legitimate questions. Is there any basis for government to be involved in the markets or in bailing out if somebody gets shafted by the market? No.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between real work and trading work, money changing work? I think yes, from a Catholic perspective.
Yeah.
But that's what capitalism is about.
Yeah.
You have capital, or you have the ability to convince somebody that they should sell you their share, and that you will pay them back. You've made a contract. Let's see how it works out. I mean, if you make a contract, you make a contract. That's okay. That's from the libertarian point of view.
Yes.
From the Catholic point of view, there are some contracts that can't be entered virtuously.
Yeah.
And to say that I'm going to charge you usury interest is, I mean, that's against Catholic morals.
Yeah. Catholic social teaching. Yeah. I mean, we have to, it's once again a thing of getting back to the whole idea of the categorical imperative. I think we need to treat people as ends in themselves and not as means to an end. When you're saying, hey, if you promise to give me your whole paycheck, I'll give you that now, but then I get, with 20% less. I mean, that's using somebody. That's using somebody as a means to an end. That's not treating somebody with the dignity that they deserve. And I mean, if they're doing that, if they are mutually making that contract, there shouldn't be any legal problem with that. But I do think that there's a moral issue with that when you are not actually providing any benefit to that person. You are simply using them as a means to an end. Mm-hmm. So, and obviously we have an issue with that. So I think we should wrap it up.
Reminds me of a song, 16 tons. 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. I owe my soul to the company store.
Company store, yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I think we talked about this topic enough. I think it's hopefully we gave you some interesting points. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna go out and buy any GameStop stock. That's a really hard thing to say.
It is kind of hard to say that, isn't it?
Yeah. But if you want to, feel free. Otherwise, yeah.
I don't want to.
I don't want to either. I'm not looking.
I wish I'd known in April what I know now.
Yeah, exactly. But Anyway,
Of course, I wish I knew in 1983 what I know now about Microsoft and Apple
yeah,
too.
yeah, and Tesla. Start invest in Tesla the second they come on the market. Anyway, and Amazon, all of those.
Tesla's already traded.
No, I know. I'm saying if you went back in 1990.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Anyway, um, yeah. So thank you for watching. We'll probably have 2 episodes this week because I think we're gonna maybe try to record another episode tomorrow. And
I'm feeling it.
yeah.
I'm up for it.
After 1 month of doing this show, I feel like it's going well, but after getting some feedback, I've personally made some resolutions to do less research, take less notes, because I feel like we have better discussion over instruction when we actually just come at it from like the perspective of how do these interesting issues affect our lives and the lives of people watching, rather than like trying to come at it from a perspective of giving you a lot of information.
Just a bull session instead of some sort of didactic presentation
Exactly.
about this is the history of this and that.
Yeah, because I think if you want
that can be pretty dry.
And I think if you want history and expertise, you shouldn't come here.
Right? Do what we did. Look it up on Wikipedia.
Exactly. So I think tomorrow we're maybe going to try to record an episode about licenses. And I think licenses are really interesting because they are something that affect a lot of people. If you don't have a job where you have to have a license, you probably at least patronize a lot of businesses where they have to have licenses. So we're going to talk about from a libertarian
Don't give it all away. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
We'll talk about it tomorrow. But so thank you all for watching.
Vaya con Dios, my darlings.
All right, bye.